friends, we are extending our series that we were doing before, landscape versus food forest. It's one of those series that we had started quite a while ago. We had talked about bamboo. Actually, it was this Timor black bamboo that we had featured, and also a background on how we started here. This acre, it's not even acre, it's 3/4 of an acre that we got 4 years ago, was just an empty piece of land. There were a couple of invasive Brazilian peppers around, and there was a big oak there that's still standing there by the river. And the bad thing for us was that the surface was not only just lawn, that was grass that was mowed by the owner from time to time. It was also very hard. So when we had some potted plants from when we moved from a different place, and when I started to dig the soil to plant them, it just was very hard pan. Nothing was, there was just rock hard stony land underneath, and when it would rain, the water would stand, it would not even soak. So that's how we had started, and the 4 years has taught us a lot of experience and a lot of learning, and we're still learning. We still feel like there is so much to learn. We are always having an open mind, because living in a city with neighbors on both sides, there are a lot of restrictions and a lot of challenges that you have to face when you want to do things biologically without using fertilizers, totally depending on soil health. And to find a common ground where you could keep your neighbors happy, not complaining about any sorts of smell of manure or any, complain about there is a pile of mulch or there is a pile of compost with all the dead leaves. Things can happen. Some neighbors may not like it may catch fire. They may say, I heard that some neighbor to other grower, he was told that a code enforcement was called because there might be snakes in it, is what he was told. So see, when you live in a city lot like this with different groups of people with different ideas about how gardens should be or how your backyard should be, there are challenges. But despite those challenges, we want to find common ground where our garden still looks aesthetically beautiful, and lush, green, and edible, and flourishing as well. So all those words, flourishing, edible, lush, green, and aesthetically beautiful, all had to come in one place in this small 3/4 of an acre with hundreds of fruit trees to accommodate, because we love those trees. Each of the fruit trees that we have here, we tasted those fruit trees, and we fell in love with the taste of the fruit so much that we wanted to have a tree here. And then adding tree after tree, different varieties of mangoes, different varieties of bananas, papayas. So it's like a whole food forest, and edible food forest as well, and aesthetic food forest as well. So that's what landscape versus food forest series is all about. How to create a middle path where you don't have to go to the extremes of where I would say one extreme would be what the people say, that big acreage with plants growing everywhere and not cared, or wild looking type of forest, versus very neat looking orchard or neat looking garden where there is no blemishes, the paths are well made, there is the lawn and turf is mowed every couple days, looks green and nice. But it comes with the price of using a lot of synthetic fertilizers and pesticides, because we found out that having a natural biological system, there will always be pests, there will always be predators. So things may not look completely perfect. There may be some deficiencies at times, there may be some pests at times, but it's all part of the system. And so this episode is all about that, and we have already done a couple of episodes before. One was about African potato mint and edible ground cover. We showed you how it was growing there in one of our raised beds, and one episode was on this Timor black bamboo that I'm standing together with, and it's an edible bamboo with good help in creating a microclimate, as also windbreak help it gives. Plus it's aesthetically beautiful in a meditation garden that we have, so it helps people to feel like have a zen-like feeling when they come to meditate. So we are collecting plants, or we are trying to make a garden that would look beautiful but not lose that sense of natural biological methods of gardening that we have, that we don't want to give up and cut corners and start using synthetic fertilizers or even organic fertilizers, because lately we are growing more into soil health. So we had to mulch, we had to let our natives start growing in the mulch that we distributed, and then soon there were multi-species of plants around every fruit trees, but it had to start from zero. We didn't have a kickstart with already a lush green forest to start with. So that was our battle, but that was our experience as well. I feel like in 4 years we had the experience of 40 years of gardening, and maybe there is 400 more years of experience to gain. So we're always trying to learn. It should never stop, because the wonder is lost once the knowledge is saturated. So we always want to open ideas and we not only want to invite people who can share a different aspect of the growing, but also want to go to places who can teach us to grow differently. So being part of groups like fruit forums, where there is opposing ideas, where one faction completely ignores the other or tells that this is only the best way of doing things, I find that this won't help people unite, to bring all different groups together, or different extremes of this spectrum together. We have to find a common ground, and that's why we started these series of landscape versus food forest, where we can show that we are like you, common people who have a regular home, regular backyard, regular neighbors, and still we don't have to go to the extreme of using synthetic fertilizers and pesticides that commercial orchards do. And still, because these fruits you are eating yourself, your body, you love your body, you're not trying to satisfy anyone. So how to do natural biological farming and still get away with it, to to make it look like beautiful, so that everyone comes and starts taking pictures. This is a place where everyone comes to our garden and starts taking pictures together, with grower, fruit grower, non-fruit grower, those who have never heard of any fruit trees in Florida. When they come here, they still wonder what is this, and they start taking pictures. And this place was just a walkway for us not so long ago. I think before last winter. So it's less than a year ago. It was a walkway. So what we decided was, we brought a cattle panel. There were 4 cattle panels, each 4 feet wide, 12 feet long, and then we made it into a tunnel like this. And what we grew in the tunnel is what you can see here. If you walk with me inside, I won't have to explain to you what these are. So this is a passion vine. When it ripens, it will change color. It has a sweet and sour jelly inside that can be eaten just scooped out with spoon, or you can make into a drink and drink the juice. We also discovered that off season, when you don't have tomatoes, you can also use green passion fruit for your recipes, and it gives similar taste as tomatoes. We didn't do any hand pollination, and the result is that we have lots and lots of fruits hanging everywhere. You can see we have 3 passion vines here that have covered the whole trellis and made it into a nice tunnel. What are the benefits of this? It is edible, number 1. Number 2, it gives shade in the harsh sun, summertime, when you just want to escape somewhere in your garden where you don't want the sun to hit. It's a nice shade. Number tree. It looks beautiful because it's aesthetically appealing, and we have a meditation garden behind, meditation circle behind, so people want to go through this tunnel, and it gives a sense of beauty to this whole place. And number 4, we actually are using this as a wind barrier as well for some fruit tree behind that are still small and want to be protected against the wind. Perhaps there are more benefits to it. We will not go into all the details, but this is a passion vine, and only a few things you need to be careful of when you have a passion vine is, one is that you need to plant it on a mound, because it doesn't like to be waterlogged. Actually, it dies if it gets flooded, if the roots are in a standing water. So make sure that doesn't happen ever. So plant it on a mound or in an area which is elevated from the rest of your garden. And it's a very vigorous vine, so you have to give it enough space where it can crawl. If it doesn't get a space like this, it may go up your trees. And we have a previous place where we had it before by the neighbor's fence. It actually climbed up the royal palm, and who is going to harvest from up there? So it just doesn't make sense. You don't need big trees. You don't need it to climb big trees. Then you won't be able to harvest the fruits. So making a tunnel like this, it's very easy, because the fruits are just hanging there. They hang like this, like drops, like they're all hanging here. So it's easy to harvest. They are hanging there. Plant it in a hump, make it slightly elevated so that it doesn't flood, and make sure that you give it enough space to expand, because see, this one, even with so much space, it's still trying to get out. It's every day we come and we try to, there's one branch that might be trying to get out, so we try to train it back there. There are some there already trying to escape, so we always, these are trying to escape, but there is a lot of space down here that's not been used, so we just train it back there, and so they will just stay there. Just make sure that it's trained well. So this is all that you need to know. They are attracted to iguanas, so if you live in a place where there's a lot of iguanas, they would like to eat. But they grow so fast that it grows faster than iguanas can eat the leaves. So that's what happened for us as well. Initially we were scared that they were eating some leaves, then 1 or 2 days they were not here, and it grew so fast that after that they lost interest in it already. So this was our another episode about food forest versus landscape. It is a common ground between wild looking, uncared looking, overly grown food forest and a neat, sterile, almost fake looking landscape. And that's what we wanted to bring in attention to you guys, and hopefully it will inspire you in some way to have similar concepts, because we all have very limited space. Most of us, obviously, in Florida, it's expensive to have big land. So in this very limited space, mind also becomes very creative, because you come up with creative ideas. And obviously there will always be people blaming us and criticizing us. There are limitations. Unless you see the whole spectrum, unless you visit people who are doing this way, unless you know the extremes of both sides, you will not have compassion to come to the middle path, to the middle ground. And this is what we have experienced, this is what we have learned, and seems like this is what we will be adding, because our garden is constantly growing. We will have so many new ideas to share. We are making the riverside, and once we started to work on the riverside, we are now exploring so many plants that actually are not explored. Of course, we won't be destroying any of the mangroves, but there are so many different fruit trees that actually do good on the riverside. And someday, hopefully, we will be able to make an episode on fruit trees that can help the riverbank as well as grow and give fruits to you. If you have more of any new concepts, do share with us and write to us. Next episode will be on ground covers, so stay tuned. We'll bring you more on that. We're working a lot on other parts of our garden and also mango tastings, because it's mango season right now, but we will bring the ground cover episode as soon as possible.
I'm back with another review. Today, I just tried this passion fruit, and the smell of it is it reminds me of this more calmy candy gum thing I tried, and it smells so good. It smells like literal candies, and it was very tense, and I was not ready for that big surprise that was coming, because it's like so sweet and sour, but it's still a pretty good fruit, and I don't know, I just love the smell and stuff. So yeah, you guys should try it too. Bye.